Protective eyewear with side shield should be worn throughout the soldering process. Protective flame-resistant gloves should be worn anytime you are handling Oatey fluxes or are soldering tube and fitting. Clothing should provide sufficient coverage and be made of suitable materials to minimize the potential of skin burns. It is absolutely crucial that the pipe be accurately measured and cut. Pipe that is cut too short will not reach the bottom of the fitting cup and cannot be properly soldered. Pipe that is too long could place excess strain on the system and affect service life. After taking measurements, cut tube to appropriate length. This can be done in a variety of ways, including a disc-type tube cutter, hacksaw, or a wheel or bandsaw. Regardless of method, the tube must be cut square in order for it to fit properly onto the fitting cap. Ream all cut tube ends along the entire inside diameter of the tube, removing the burr created by the cutting tool. If a burr is not removed, joint strength and life may be compromised. A properly reamed tube will create less turbulence and better flow. Burrs also need to be removed from the outside diameter of the tube to allow it to properly enter and seat into the fitting. All oxides and surface dirt need to be cleaned from the outside of the tube and inside of the fitting cup. Failure to properly clean these surfaces will not allow solder to properly flow and fill the joint. Lightly clean the tube ends to a depth slightly greater than that of the fitting cup using sandcloth or nylon abrasive pad. Repeat process on inside of fitting cup using sandcloth, nylon pad, or an appropriately sized fitting brush. Do not clean surface overly aggressively. This could remove too much copper, leaving the space between the tube and the fitting diameters too large to properly solder. Chemical cleaning may be utilized. Contact the manufacturer of the tube and fitting as well as the manufacturer of chemical cleaner for additional instructions. A thin layer of flux should be applied to the tube and fitting surfaces to be joined using an acid brush as quickly after cleaning as possible. Use care when applying flux. Over-application can cause issues in the future, and an extreme over-application can cause joint failure. Do not use fingers to apply flux, as it could be harmful if exposed to eyes or open cuts. Place tube into fitting, making sure that it bottoms out into the cup of the fitting using a slight twisting motion. Clean excess flux with a dry cotton rag or cloth. Make sure that the assembly is properly supported to ensure an even spacing between the outside of the tube and the inside of the fitting. If the spacing is not even within the joint, the solder metal could crack under pressures from stress or vibration. Note: joint assembly should be soldered as soon as possible after assembly and not left overnight. Begin heating with the flame perpendicular to the tube. The size of the tube will determine how long it must be heated. Move the flame to the fitting cup. Then, reheat the tube at a distance equal to that of the fitting cup. Touch the solder to the tube at the base of the fitting cup. If the solder does not melt, continue the heating process. If the solder does melt, apply heat to the base of the fitting cup to help draw in the solder. Apply solder slightly off-center at the bottom of the joint. Proceed along the bottom of the fitting towards the top center position Allow joints to cool naturally. Never shock cool with water or other means, as it may result in unnecessary stress to the joint. When the joint is completely cooled, clean the joint and excess flux with a clean, damp rag.